Welcome to Get Your Shoot Together, the photographer's podcast where we discuss studio, business, life, and keeping it all in line. I am Kira Derryberry.
And I am Mary Fisk Taylor.
Yes, you are.
I am. In the flesh, right here, ready for this, another podcast.
Ready for another one.
Can you believe this? We talked about this months and months and months ago that we should do this because we personally find ourselves hilarious, and that would be why. So we had these conversations anyway, and people were like, I want to hear it. I want this. And I'm like, okay, well, let's share it. Let's just get out there and share what we were talking about.
Instead of like sitting in a group where you and I are just talking, nobody else can get a word in edgewise.
Most of the time, this is true.
I think this is a good outlet for this energy, and I think it is helping people. I know it's helping people because they're telling me. So yay.
That's right. I love that. And we're a few in here, and we finally know how to count down and clap. If y'all have ever had to record anything before, you do this 3, 2, and then they silently do the 1, and you're supposed to clap. That's going to help with the audio part. And there might one day, because this is probably going to just be international rock star status, this podcast at one point. But the funny thing is there might or might not be an entire outtake reel of us trying to count down from 3 and clap.
I don't know why it's so hard.
You would think we were launching a rocket. You would think we were doing something so freaking important. I love it.
We would never be. If we both had to turn a key at the same time, the whole place would explode.
Do you think we should ever do one of those rooms where they lock you in and you have to get out?
Okay, so they have that at downstairs of PPA headquarters. They've opened one of those places, and now I totally think we should do it.
I think we should next time we go to Atlanta. I saw that when some of the judges were in doing district competition down there for PPA. I saw that a group did it. I saw Larry Lorsey and Jessica Vogel and Andrew G. I saw a group of them, and I know I'm forgetting people, and I apologize. But they got out.
Well, I think everybody eventually gets out, right? I mean, they're not going to leave you there.
Well, not forever, Kira, but they got out before the time ran out.
Oh, yeah. I haven't done one of those.
I haven't either. I'm afraid because I'm a control freak, A. B, I feel like I would get overwhelmed and then I would just shut down.
Well, maybe we should do it. I think it might be fun with all of those strong personalities that are on the board.
Yes.
I think we should do it.
All right. That's a date in July.
I think it would be fun. Okay, good. And then we can report back on how that went.
Oh, that would be interesting. I like it. That's a plan. But
what happens in the escape room apparently may not stay in the escape room.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. But yeah, us clapping and counting, it's a challenge. The struggle's real.
You know what else is a challenge is before we started podcasting just a little while ago. I'm not wearing shoes right now.
Okay. All right.
Because as I was trying to get things organized, and I'm not organized. I'm just not a person who is neat or organized. So I'm trying to get things organized, and I don't have enough room on my desk, and I knock over a full glass of water onto the floor, which also lands on my Wacom tablet.
Oh no!
It's okay. I used it. It's all right.
Okay.
And also my Vagabond, my battery power. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So cool. I'm just gonna let that dry out and see.
Just let it dry. Put it in a big bag of rice. Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
Put that big battery in a bag of rice. That'll work.
That's a big bag of rice. But
I don't know how wet it got. I saw some on it, but the tablet got the brunt of it, and my shoes. So so my shoes are over there drying out. I am shoeless, and I don't like it.
You don't like that at all. I have on shoes. I'm wearing my favorite shoe brand, Allbirds.
Allbirds. Okay. All right. So I tried the Allbirds on everyone's recommendation. Not a single person I know who bought Allbirds, and it's everyone I know, basically.
Yeah, we all wear them.
I bought some, and I could see all of my toes.
I don't believe you.
I took a picture.
I don't believe you. I don't believe you because I don't understand how that you must have really fat toes.
I have normal toes. And I just take my word for it. And and so I put the shoe on because I bought it for the Italy trip, for all the walking around. And I put the shoe on, and they look so cute. But when I put them on, you can see the full form of my entire foot and toes. And it was the weirdest thing. Kevin's looking at it like, what are these like? You know what it looked like? It looked like water shoes. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah, that's not cute.
It wasn't cute.
I don't understand because I know a lot of people who wear these shoes. I mean, they're really awesome, comfortable shoes. They're my favorite shoes for sure.
Maybe my feet are so slender and bony
wow.
that you could see every, the entire detail of the foot because of the, the lack of fat. Or
maybe the rest of us just have like those weird molded feet, like like Barbie feet, and they're so molded that we don't have the differentiation that you have in your toeage.
Maybe I am just highly evolved. That is something John Dodd would say. Anytime I have some sort of problem, my dad, like physical problem, my dad would say, well, that's obviously because you're highly evolved, because my pinkies are weird too. And so I'll tell him that my pinkies they stick out weirdly.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that's because you don't need pinkies because you're highly evolved.
Oh my gosh. That's the sweetest dad thing I've ever heard in
my
entire life. Yeah. I mean, that is just, wow.
He's so supportive in every way, even with I have weird pinkies.
Yeah, because you quite frankly have weird pinkies. I mean, there's just no way around that. I'm glad that he was able to find a silver lining in that for you.
Yeah.
And to make you feel superior for it. That's fantastic.
Leave it to my parents to raise me to feel superior.
I love that. No, you're not. And they didn't do that. I'm teasing you. I love that. The John Doddisms. That's fantastic.
That is definitely a John Doddism. So I want to jump into what we're getting into today, because we have alluded to this topic in several of the last podcasts that we've done, and it's outsourcing.
Oh, yes. My favorite thing. Besides making money.
So yes. I want to start by saying that I was resistant to outsourcing. Very, very resistant to outsourcing. And over the course of the past, maybe 5 years, I've off and on tried to get into it. And mainly for when it comes to retouching or culling or just the post-production efforts that go into my shooting. But I want to talk about a breaking point that I hit. That was maybe a couple of years ago. And then I just had to get over myself with this block that I had. So when we talk about outsourcing, we talk about outsourcing in a lot of different areas of your business. But in this case, I just want to dive into, to me, what the most obvious one is for my business, which was the retouching. And in my head, if I did not have my hands on those images from the moment of capture to the saving out of the file and exporting it, to sending to the printer, then it wasn't my file anymore, that it wasn't my work anymore. And I had or that nobody could ever do it in the amazing stylistic way that I do it. And they would and I would never be happy with it. Right. And I was a stupid idiot, because that is just simply not true. It's just not, it's not true, Mary.
It's not true. I know it. Trust me. I got you.
And it took me, and I tried doing it a few different times, and I felt like I'm a control freak, which you relate to. And,
yep.
What are you talking about? And, and it took me a few times to really find, one, the company that I was comfortable with that was giving me results consistently enough. And two, what parts of the post-production that I was okay with letting go of. So I tried to do the culling, because I thought my problem was the culling and not so much the retouching. The retouching I could do quickly, but it was the mind numbing going through the images and getting it down. You know what fixes that problem? Don't shoot as many images.
There you go. That's an idea. Yeah. Be very intentional with your shooting and the whole camera room experience, which we're very buttoned down with, because we do so many consultations, have so many conversations, and we have a workbook and everything we do ahead of time. I just photograph what they tell me they're going to buy. I know that's crazy. Now, of course I do extras and I will have some add-on sale options, but I stay pretty true to that, because I know that people can only buy but so much each session, and I want them to come back. So I try very hard to be very intentional with my camera.
Exactly. And then the next thing that I hit was, okay, so let's pretend I have a thriving business here in Tallahassee. It's not really a pretend.
Which
it
you do.
It is a thing. And then what was happening is at the holiday shooting season time, so probably months between, September to November, I was getting a lot more volume than the rest of the year. And I was showing every client the entire, not the entire guide, but 40 retouched, finalized images. That's what I was doing.
You were retouching before the sale?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to tell you guys all the things that I did wrong and tell you that I fixed them all.
Yes.
But this was up to 2-3 years ago, honestly. Right. So I was retouching 40 images, culling it down, retouching 40 images, showing them a slideshow, and then just hoping that they bought a lot of it. Right? And they would buy it. But then I would go, well, now I don't have to do anything because it's all retouched and it's all done, you know? But then when I changed to, no, I'm going to shoot less, get it in camera correctly, more often than not, and then show them just proofs that they're going to pick from, then the bottlenecking started happening in the retouching.
Right.
And that is the moment that I went, okay, so everything is working a little bit better, except now I'm staying up all night retouching lots of family portraits and trying to get little things that they asked to be tweaked, trying to get that stuff done, things removed, body, shaping, getting all that stuff done. So when I finally started just retouching the stuff that they were buying and sending it out, my whole life changed.
100%. 100%. This is such I was actually shook. Like I was shocked when I heard this whole idea of, well, both things, but first of all, retouching before you sell it. And I understand that I've been schooled. I get it that is a very popular way that a lot of photographers run their business now. And then the idea of doing it yourself was always so strange to me. Now, I come from film. So when I used to photograph, I would have the film developed by somebody else because I don't develop film. And then we would go through and I still did in-person sales. We just called it sales back then, but you come in and I had something called a PhotoVix, and you would run the film through it and it would project onto the screen and they would pick their image. And just like I do now, I would explain, hey guys, now this is the raw film, or this is the raw image straight out of the camera. We're going to work on this together, and whatever you choose is going to look as perfect as you want it to look, just like everything on our walls, everything sample I have. And they would go, great. And we would talk together about the amount of body shaping they do or don't want, freckles and things, removing or not. I mean, all that stuff is discussed, and I make lots of notes. And then that goes to my artist to do the retouching. And wow, I just never knew that it was a thing. Like I didn't know it was a thing. Until
it became a thing.
It did.
Honestly, the digital revolution made it become a thing.
It did.
And I think that, a lot of times in the beginning, especially when I was shooting available light only, when you're starting out, the lighting changes. So
100%.
so there was a lot of things that needed to be corrected before the client saw it. And then I will say too, that other times where we're retouching before the client sees it makes sense is maybe even in boudoir photography or boudoir photography. There were times where I definitely was retouching images, a small gallery of images for the client to see beforehand, because I didn't want to break the reality of, and when I say like not changing, color correcting or changing anything, but like just, smoothing the skin out a little bit more so that they weren't like, oh my God. And then you'd have to go, well, don't worry, I'm going to get rid of that cellulite in the, in the retouching. I just didn't want to break any part of the experience. So when I was shooting a lot of that, that made sense,
Yeah. I think a lot of people say that with high school seniors too, because they feel like that buying group is very overly critical, and they're used to, what do they call it? Auto tuning, whatever, even though
face tuning.
Face tuning. So them seeing something that has a blemish or not. Now, I don't do it that way. I feel like at this point, I've established myself as an expert. I explain to them they're going to see it this way because I sell it as an advantage. I sell it as we're going to work on this together, because I don't know how much or how little you want, because some people want a very natural look. Some people want to look like they just walked out of, the plastic surgeon's office. Like, that's not my call. That's up to them. But it depends on how you do it. But I get it. And I think if you are going to do it, I agree. You do a couple and you have an artist choice almost, that you show them, and you're like, these were my favorites, and I went ahead and did that. This is what I would do. And you share those. But, retouching multiples and multiples, 10, 12, 30, 40 images, you're not going to sell all those images unless you're just selling digitals, I guess.
You're not going to sell those images. And then getting them right to where, out of camera, pretty much ready where they're supposed to be as far as the lighting goes and the consistency goes, then you're going to see a lot more consistent quality if you do send out the retouching to someone else. It's going to be a lot more consistent across the board than anything else. And maybe where this has helped my business most is in the commercial work and the headshot stuff. Because they're viewing here after their headshot session, we view right away and pick out their images. And usually, you can sell a few more images too when you do it that way, because it's a little harder to narrow things down. Yeah. Yep. And then, but then when I outsource that stuff, they choose it. I export it. I send it out. I use RetouchUp for this. So I send it out to RetouchUp. They retouch it. I get it back. And in the off time that it doesn't quite meet my standard, and my standards are
It's going to
pretty high.
happen. Sure.
Yeah, they'll fix it. And they'll fix it within 24 hours. And they're getting the stuff finished and retouched and back at me faster than I could possibly do it on my own, because now I have time to go back and do like other administrative stuff that I've got to do, or answer emails or doing something like that.
Yeah.
So RetouchUp's great. There's another company called Ribuku that kind of does the same service. And then as far as like, if you're a wedding shooter and you're getting bogged down in like the culling and the
acquiring,
and just like narrowing things down and color correcting, that sort of thing, there's another service called Photographer's Edit that I used, and I enjoyed using that, but I found like my sessions were smaller now that I'm shooting more intentionally. I mean, I think a wedding, you have a lot to go through, obviously.
Yes.
But like with the family sessions, I'm shooting more intentionally. I didn't have a need anymore. I kind of fixed that problem on my own.
Yeah. And the reason I use RetouchUp as well, I use a local person to do my Lightroom or my acquiring and culling for my weddings. He does an amazing job. If you're interested, I certainly will pass that name on, but does a great job. And I
think we're going to have to identify that noise. Do you want to?
Yeah, that would be Rookie in the background. He's exercising right now.
I thought he was having like a dream.
He's looking at me. He's looking at me like I'm crazy right now. Sorry about that, guys. But anyway, I bring him to work every day when I'm here, so he's always around. So just get used to it, I guess. But I use somebody locally for that piece, and I mean, I just can't imagine sitting and going color, because there's always 2 photographers at our weddings, and culling through all those images and then acquiring them and color correcting and doing some basic soft, global retouching on them and things like that. Oh my gosh. I mean, my time is worth so much more than what I pay for that. And that's not an insult. It's just like, that's their job. So they get paid what they want to be paid. What I feel like I should be making, I certainly should be out there networking or engaging with potential clients or partnerships, working on emails or my website, working on something that I should be doing. That's visionary and a part of my business. But anyway, I've used them forever.
You pointed something out too, because it's not just, there's services that do these things, but you actually hired somebody to go through and do your culling and your Lightroom color correcting and that sort of, like somebody local to do it.
For my weddings, I have somebody, and then my sessions, I shoot raw. Everything I do, I photograph raw. So when a client comes in and orders, I will do a quick cull, meaning I will edit out anything I don't want the client to see. Out of focus, bad image, light didn't go off. I'm not going to show it to them because I can't sell it. So when they place their order, I pull the raw. That raw goes to RetouchUp. They acquire it. I have probably 12 different color studies on profiles on line with them, so the artist knows how I want it acquired. Then it goes into retouching. I have very nailed down retouching instructions. And sometimes they don't get it. Sometimes they miss something or it's wrong. I resend it and I have it back usually within hours. So, I mean, it is the easiest process. I think they're an excellent company. It just happens to be the one I use. Nobody's sponsoring any of this.
No.
We're just telling you what we do and how we do it. And, that's just been the right fit for me. They also are super supportive of professional photographers in general. And that means a lot to me as somebody who works so hard for this industry to raise the levels, level up, so to speak.
Right.
So when we went digital so many years ago, actually it was 1998 or 99, we leveled up because we went digital. And this is a point that you made a couple weeks ago, and it really struck a chord with me, Kira. But you said leveling up, but not changing just one thing. Well, when we went digital, we intentionally only changed one thing, and that was the camera. Right. And using digital versus film.
Right.
And we didn't change anything else. We didn't go buy a souped up computer. We didn't go do anything and install Photoshop, 2 or whatever it was at that point.
Photoshop.
Yeah. We didn't do that because we didn't want to change anything but that. So we treated it like film. We outsourced it for acquiring. We outsourced it for artwork, just like we did with film. We only changed one thing. And that's how we leveled up into digital.
So the outsourcing concept in general is definitely not a new thing with digital. I mean, so a lot of people who are photographers at their studios, like during the film days, they had a retoucher. I mean, they had somebody who was doing
or
that
their
work.
lab. My lab, when we went digital, they created a digital department, and they would. Back then, it's not anymore. It's changed. It's shifted and changed, which I understand. But back then, labs, there were digital departments, and they would acquire your files and they would retouch your files, and you would send it through your lab. Now, there's other services, like you said, there's other great services out there. Retouch Up is just who I use, but certainly Rebuka you mentioned. And I've used Photographer's Edit for weddings as well, if I get backed up or whatever. But, I choose to outsource more than, when we talk to like some of the group, people in the Jam, our online group, or when I talk to, work with other photographers or get questions, well, I think I'll hire a retoucher. My fear of that is if I hire somebody and I'm telling them they're going to make XYZ a month or a week, now I'm responsible for them to put that money in the bank every week. Now I have to deal with employee taxes, FICA, matching. I have to deal with so many things. And as a small business, that scares me so bad. Using an outsourced service like the one I use, if I have no business, I don't pay them. If I have business, I pay them what they're asking. And that's just so much more comfortable for me.
Well, you don't have to retrain anyone either. You know what I mean? Like, that's one of the nice things about it. I have a friend. She's had a lot of issues with keeping a staff person. Yeah. Just there, and every time the staff person leaves, she has to retrain them how she wants things edited, or how she wants things color corrected, or how she wants things cold. So in that post-production area alone, there's so many benefits to letting go. Oh, and I just want to say that it's like okay to let it go. I'm giving you permission to let that aspect go of your business.
Oh, it's so hard, and I get this purist idea, the one you had. If I'm not touching it from beginning to end, well, I visioned it. I worked with and I come at it from a different place, because every portrait I create, I'm actually collaborating with the client. It's not all me. Like, I'm looking at their space. I'm looking at the clothing they like. I'm looking at the colors they like. I'm looking at how we're going to decorate with it. I'm looking at how the light tracks in their room. Like, I'm looking at all these things. And then we talk about creating the portrait. I want my client to feel like they have had a hand in it, because what I found in my years of experience is that they become such a part of it that they can't walk away from it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I'm coming at it from a different place. So I don't need to touch every piece of it. I am not a digital computer person. Like, I don't want to be in Photoshop and Lightroom.
But see, okay, so this is the thing, and I like that there's this big difference between us here. You know what I mean? Because you are all about spending time with the client and helping tell their story and helping and making them be a part of it. Yes. I actually enjoy retouching. Like, I enjoy retouching. I enjoy crafting the light, and I enjoy getting in there and looking at it and retouching it and getting better at that. But here's what happens is I get obsessed with the retouching, and I can't let it go. I get obsessed with retouching one or two images, making them this amazing, like, look what I figured out how I could do, or how this color grading looks on this, or whatever. Yeah. And I don't get done with anything, because by the time I go through two images, getting it perfectly retouched to my level of taste, I am burned out. And I don't want I'm tired of looking at the faces of the people at that point. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I just can't get it done. So, I mean, I still will retouch, one or two off things, especially personal projects. If I'm doing anything like that, I don't send that out. That's for me. But, like I had, we had 2 weekends in a row where we had friends from back home coming to visit, and it was my brother's friend Jake that came to visit this weekend. And so he came, I did headshots for him, and I started to I was like, this is my friend. I'm going to retouch, hand do everything myself. I did 2. I ended up giving him 19 images that he needed. And I did 2, and I sent the rest out, because I was like, you know what? I'm not this in love with myself. Like, really, I'm not. I don't need to do this. And at the end of the day, this is just being obsessive.
It is. And it is. That's what it is. And I get it. I mean, you're much more wired that way than I am, obviously. But also understand that some of us who come from the different era, it was never an option. Mm-hmm. You got it right in the camera. Now, I will put up my straight out of the camera images against most because I know how to use light. Light is for shaping and contouring and contrast. That's what light's for. I can find light in almost any situation. I know how to shape with light. I know how to, I can do a lot just with how I light you and minimize lines, body objections, things like that. So I get that done, and then the rest is just, seasoning. I mean, taking a few bags out, taking a double catch light out, or whatever your taste is, I mean, sometimes, like, we were on the beach this weekend, now the wind kicked up, and, if the hair goes straight up or whatever, I'll just outsource it and have the strays taken away or whatever.
Yeah, but, gone are the days that I'm laboring over stray hairs. I'm done with that.
Bane of my existence. Stray hairs are just They're the devil. That's what they are.
I'm not going to do that. But you know, so it's not just the retouching, and it's not just that stuff. There's other aspects of your business that we can outsource.
Yeah.
What are you doing else, like in the business side?
Well, you know, so there's a lot of things. So, you know, and I say this a lot, and it's, you know, nauseating probably the most, but like, I don't get paid for perfect. I get paid for done. So a lot of times, like last week, you know, I talked about the beginnings of Story Brand, or maybe along the way, we're going to talk about the need to, you know, get that website updated, or, you know, get some emails done, or a lookbook for your studio, marketing pieces. There's all these things we know we need to do in our business, but we get so bogged down to it, we do nothing. There's so many great resources out there. There's templates. There's, you know, there's copywriters. There's actual, like I got on my phone today, just a pop-up, you know, in my probably spam folder for a company that, you know, you can buy newsletter templates and scripts. So I hear people saying, well, I need to do a newsletter. I just don't have time. I need to do this. I need to do that. Well, look for other, you know, resources. If you find a company that offers something like that and it's zip code protected, why wouldn't you just for $9.99 or $29.99 download that amazing template that's well written? And I looked at some of the samples and I was like, dang, I think I should do this. Add your logo and your images to it. I mean, you can zhuzh it up and personalize it a little bit, but now you have consistent messaging to share to your email list, or share, you know, to print and share, and you're not having to sit around and worry about writing something or coming up with something, because I hear this over and over again. I need to do this. I need to do that. Well, you know what? Then hire somebody or download a template or something. Etsy has like 3 million. I looked it up the other day for a client I'm working with. I mean, I put in photographer template for, I think pet photography books or whatever. And like, I'm not kidding you, 24 came up, and they were cute. You just add your own images. You add your logo, and you have a beautiful digital book or something you could print.
Design is another outsourcing item.
100%.
You know, I used to toil over Photoshop templates to design, you know, Christmas cards for my clients or albums. You know, dropping even templates that I had then, that the labor of like dropping the stuff in. I changed over to one, I do all of my cards through White House Custom Colors website now, which has gone crazy. Just crazy with the amount of templates and the customizations you can do. I mean, I'm dragging and dropping things, and I hardly feel like I'm designing anything at that point. You know what I mean? Because it's handled for me.
Yeah, I'm not a graphic designer. I'm a photographer. You know what I mean? And a business person.
Right. And then Fundy Designer also has a software that is super drag and drop. Like, you know, albums done in like 5 seconds.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah, no, Fundy's a good one. Certainly, I only offer White House templates, like for my cards, graduation, newborn, certainly during the holidays, because the thought of sitting around and hand designing. Now, if you're hand designing cards and you're charging what you would if you actually pay, I mean, that's one thing. But I don't. I get my money on my portraits and my images. Cards are kind of a bonus. You know what I mean? So I don't charge a ton of money per card.
Well, that's the thing about cards is I don't know a great way, and maybe you do, but like the cost of goods for cards, for the paper and for, you know, the quality, the amount that you have to get out there, and for the, you know, the foil press and all those things, they're not the most profitable item on my list for sure. And there comes a point where you can't compete with them getting it online elsewhere, you know? So, I mean, that's certainly not an area that I want to spend a lot of time and effort, like designing and wasting hours.
No,
you know?
It's a service, and I'm with you 100%. Like, you need to be charging $10 to $18 a card if you're custom designing each one, because I use something like the service at White House, and you know what? I can offer some highly customized things, which I think are amazing, like the return address on the envelopes. Yeah. We actually have a calligrapher here that I outsource, and they send me their Christmas card list, and they're ready. Some of my clients just send me their list, and the calligrapher addresses them. We put a stamp on them, and they get mailed. I mean, you know what I mean? After they've approved the card. So I'm all about personalization and high quality customer service. So when I can have a high-end client like that, they love that.
You'll do whatever it is they need to, you know, so they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, so
right?
outsourcing the design, outsourcing copyright, because I think we get very caught up. I think copyright's it's a skill. I mean, it is a skill. Those are huge things. You know, there's also services and companies where you can outsource your social media, your blogging. I will tell you, and I hope, you know, no offense, but like I outsource my thank you notes. Every client who refers someone or comes to my door or business partnerships, we write lots of thank you notes here at the studio. My niece is in grad school and she's the most beautiful handwriting in the world. And I outsource that. I tell her who it is and a little just blurb, and she writes the most beautiful notes I've ever seen in my entire life.
Well, I mean, it's not like you're not giving her the information about the person. You know what I mean?
It's not.
It's like, you know, I wouldn't feel any shame about that. I mean, the point is it's getting done.
Yes.
That's the thing. You know, okay, so so, you know, we move into this new studio and I want to have this look nicer on the outside than the old studio did. So part of that was buying some nicer plants and planters and boxes, whatever. I hired a guy to go and buy all the plants.
Nice.
He put the planters in, he put the plants out there. He's now watering them for me because I'm definitely going to kill them. And I started to feel a little silly. Because I was like, oh, man, all I got to do is go out there and water it. Do you know how that it's actually not that easy? Because when I'm here to water it, I'll fry them in the sun.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you really have to water them during a certain time of day. So outsourcing something that's going to make my business better and make it easier and make it look better across the board, like higher end, that's money that I'll invest. But one of the things that keeps resonating here with me is charging appropriately because of the overhead of these things. So
exactly.
The headshots, I don't think anything about sending them out for retouching because I'm charging a rate that will afford me to spend money on paying a retoucher to retouch it.
Yeah, no, I mean, and absolutely. That's great. You know, and I'm with you 100%. Like we outsource our gardening as well, but we assume that I kind of have it in my cost of sales that I assume every image is going to require the high level of retouching, meaning body sculpting, you know, different things like that. So when I have that in my cost of sales, and if I only have to do a basic retouch on something, that's just found money for me. But I actually was working with someone the other day and they said, oh my gosh, they want, you know, $5 or $10 to do this. And I'm like, well, what are you charging? Like, if you're not charging enough that you can afford $10 to have the body slimmed down and the hair removed and the pants covering the socks and, you know, the car removed from the background or whatever it is, wow, you know, because how long is it going to take you to do that? Like, what is your time worth? Aren't you worth more than $10?
And line iteming those things too, I think, draws attention to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now there's times where I have line itemed individual like things that you might need, like skin and hair retouching, that sort of thing. But that's more for like large commercial headshot jobs. You know what I mean? I can give them, 100 headshots that are, color corrected but not skin and hair retouched, and then specific skin and hair retouching, per person or per bowl. Those kind of line item things are expected in that realm.
I agree, but a family portrait, if you have to do a head swap, just do the head swap.
Do the head swap.
Yeah, or just, you're not going to write down, slim down mom, remove mom's behind. I mean, literally, that's what you're saying. Like, you're calling it out. If mom complains about the way she looks or her arms or this or that, we're like, no problem, we'll take care of that. I'm going to make a note of it, but I would never charge more than that. More for that service because I just assume it's going to happen. Now, one thing that we do for seniors is braces removal because it's a little more money and it's always a touchy subject because it's hard to find somebody that can do a good job with that and it not look like the fakest, weirdest teeth in the world.
Yeah.
So that's something that I will talk to them about and I will actually let them look at it before it goes to print because kids are picky and that's okay, but yeah, that's a really weird thing, braces removal.
Braces removal is a weird thing. And sometimes, when you're working with a client, especially the teens, where their skin is just not, poor things, you know what I mean? It can borderline not looking like them.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Once you get down to removing all of it. I mean, we've all had those clients that really have struggled with their skin.
Yes.
And then... so all
now you've done that and you've removed braces and now it's like, wow, who is this? You know what I mean? It starts, God forbid you pluck their eyebrows. We did that one time and it was some nightmare because I got it back and I was like, who's this? I was like, oh no, I think we went overboard on this, people. Let's just start over.
So all the more reason if you do outsource those things to quality control.
Quality control.
Quality check it because you certainly don't want to send something back to the client that is not what they expected.
No. And talk other things. Obviously, hope we're all outsourcing our financial needs and accounting needs to some degree, at least for tax time, at least paying somebody once a year, at least, to just look over your your financial health, and to look at that and make sure you're on track to sign off on your taxes. That's important. I think hiring an attorney every so many years to make sure your contracts are on par with your state and local codes and requirements, because they change and shift and we don't know. You may not notice that something's changed in your area and now you've got a tax liability that you didn't understand or whatever. So I think those type of things we definitely need to outsource, not on a regular basis, but we certainly need to.
Well, you're also not expected to learn everything about taxes. You know what I mean? I mean, that's something that in the beginning of my business, I was trying to do the taxes myself. It finally took me going to an accountant for her to tell me, you're really leaving a lot of money on the table here with the way your business is set up. And so we changed over to an S Corp, 5 years ago.
Yep.
And, because I was coming out as a sole proprietor, and which made sense when I was only making a certain amount of money. But see, I didn't know any of that stuff. And if I had gone to, a professional to outsource some of this because it was starting to overwhelm me.
Yeah.
You're
right.
Then I wouldn't have known. Do you know what else I outsource?
Tell me.
Speaking of outsourcing, the editing of this podcast.
Yes, you do. I like that. This is something kind of, and we do, and we love that. And that's how we keep it, because Kira is picky. So hopefully she's found an editor that does a great job, and her not having to worry about doing that. So we pay to do that. And, that's a really great thing. And hopefully you guys, trust me, you appreciate it. You just don't know how great it is that it's been edited. But something else, and this is funny, you brought it up the other day, and you texted me your picture of your new booties, and you're outsourcing your styling. And I know this sounds silly, but you're using a service to help you curate some wardrobe pieces.
Yeah.
Correct?
Okay.
And this is outsourcing. And you know what? It is a business. It's not a business expense. I'm not telling you that. But the way we look, the way we appear, our manicures, that's all about our brand. So outsourcing that, I think, is a nice little, luxury that you've earned for yourself.
It is. You know what? It is a luxury that I've earned because I am running a business and I don't have time to go to the dang mall anymore. And we have so many things that we have to go to and show up and look great. Like every single time. And so I'm wearing out all my good shoes, and I'm like, I just broke like some of my favorite, wedge shoes that I wear. They match with everything and I wear it to everything. And then it occurred to me, I have no alternative. There's nothing else to wear. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I started because I don't have time to go to the mall. I don't have time to shop online now because what I do is I lay in bed and I shop online and then I order a bunch of stuff and I don't return it when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I started out using a service that it was called Le Tote, and they basically, it's like Rent the Runway. You rent clothes, like business clothes or just semi-casual stuff. And I started using that. And then, you get tired of anything after a while. And so you change it up. And so what I sent you the other day was Nordstrom Trunk Club. Yeah. Which is essentially Stitch Fix, but it's through Nordstrom. And so, because I'm to a point now, I'm coming into a certain age demographic. We'll say I'm in my upper 30s now.
Which is still young. Still very, very young.
Notice I didn't say late. I said upper.
Upper. Yeah, that
upper
sounds
30s.
Nicer.
It sounds nicer. It sounds
very
nicer.
fancy.
But also I have a lot of clothes that I've been hanging on to and trying to keep in this, and it's just, it doesn't look like where I should be at this point anymore. Yeah. So I outsourced it because why not?
Why
somebody
not?
Else, it really doesn't cost that much. It cost me like $25 to have somebody else shop for me.
Yes.
And that's worth it. I don't have, like I said, I'd rather go to bed or watch TV.
Yeah. No, hang out with your family, or hang out with your friends or go to Whole Foods Snappy Hour.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what we want to do. We want to be really honest with ourselves. This is what we want to do. Our downtime is very valuable, and you're right. And sometimes we live in communities that there's just, unfortunately, that stores are closing, and I hate that. I mean, I shop as local as I can with almost, everything I possibly can. But I have a hard time, and for me, my age and my size, which is perfect for me, but my size, it's hard for me to find clothes that, I really feel comfortable in. So I use a service because, I want to look my best and feel my best. But sometimes I can go out all day long and I just can't find things that fit me. I'm don't have the longest legs and I don't have the smallest waist, and it's hard to
well,
find
it's
stuff.
it's really defeating too, because you make the effort to go out to the stinky mall that has, it's, full of people. You spend all this time trying on stuff, and then to come home and not have been, and to feel like it's you.
Oh, I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a fail. It's not a win. It's a fail. So it feels yucky, So like I got back from the beach recently, and there's this little tiny shop right across from the hotel I like to stay at, and I went in and I found 3 things that I love, fit me perfectly, and I love the fact that I could shop and you walk away from it. But you know what? It took me 15 minutes. I walked in, walked out. But that doesn't happen very often. So that was a huge win. But I try to outsource that as well. And those are things we outsource to make our lives, more manageable and make our lives easier, I guess. But it gives us time to do other things and not just business. It gives us time to spend with our family, spend with our friends.
I think that's a good point. And this is because if I listened to myself 10 years ago, I think I would have called myself super bougie at this point.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I'm actually,
someone is actually calling us that right
Somebody's
now.
calling us bougie. I am so okay with it, because honestly, I can afford to spend small increments of money to gain myself back large increments of time.
Right. Ooh,
and that balance makes sense for me. It makes sense in my business. It's making sense in my life. This last year has been all about, for me anyway, just like kind of rewriting how things work so that I can live a happier life, live a less stressful life.
Yes.
And so I'm not going to feel bad about hiring a stylist at $25 a time.
$25. It's not like we're hiring.
To find me some jeans. No.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's fine. I do want to say, though, that you said when I sent you pictures of my booties, I was like, what are you talking about?
Shoe booties.
Shoes.
Shoe booties.
Shoes.
Oh, my God.
Also, a.k.a. booties. I just wanted to make just a clarification before people started sending email.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that, Kira, because that's not what we do. Not on a Tuesday, anyway. No, just kidding.
My bougie booty I was sending you photos of. So,
I love that. You're right. You're doing that. And you're also, like, I love the fact that you're creating systems. And so that's kind of what this is, part of this is us creating systems in our lives and our businesses that give us time back. Because, I mentioned in the last podcast, Story Brand, that's one of the biggest problems I feel like my clients have. It's one of the biggest problems I have. Mm-hmm. Finding enough time, finding enough hours to make myself feel like a successful business owner, a decent mom, decent wife, decent daughter, friend, et cetera, volunteer. I mean, I'm doing all these things, but gosh, time is the biggest problem I have. And if we can make time, meaning outsource or, take some of these things off our plate by charging appropriately and paying for it, why not? Why not give ourselves that, little bit of, wiggle room? Like none of us are superheroes. We keep saying this over and over again. We've got to find balance in our lives.
Finding balance and not feeling guilty about it.
At all.
Because God, I don't know, everything, I just feel like a woman's whole existence is feeling guilty about something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's entire shows about it. It's an ongoing theme with anything with a mom in it. There's going to be the mom guilt thing. I mean, we talk about it. We laugh about it. Like, it's just perfectly normal. Well, it's actually not. I mean, and dads have it too. I don't think moms have cornered the market on guilt, but why is that cute and funny, and why is that okay? We do the best we can. You know what? If I can look at myself and I can say, and I'm going to quote David Trust here, the CEO of PPA, who we all, love and admire David, but if I'm doing things right, doing right things, I need to not feel bad about a $25 stylist fee or hiring a gardener to make sure I don't fry my plants. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to feel guilty about that.
You certainly don't. You certainly don't. Mm-hmm. No. And for those who call it bougie, fine.
I'll be that.
I'll be bougie.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I mean, we're not drinking pretentious fruit wine.
No, we're not drinking.
I can't believe we've
wine.
actually went an entire podcast and not mention Schitt's Creek. So I just wanted to round it back up there and bring it back in, because that's something I like to make time for as well.
Yeah, basically all these things are just systems being put in place so that I can watch Schitt's Creek.
We're so obsessed. Wild aloof rebels we are.
You know that they had a convention, apparently. Like, I saw a picture of people going to the set for the last episode filming, and like all these people, I was like, we weren't informed that we could have gone.
I didn't get the memo. I really feel like I should have known something about this.
I know. I have major FOMO about missing.
Me too.
Apparently, we're not involved in this group, and now they're done. So
dang it. Maybe they'll bring it back. Maybe if we talk about it enough and we cause a huge outcry on social media, they'll bring it back. No,
they'll bring it back.
They'll do something even more amazing. They're such a talented group, and they tend to always end up back together doing something awesome. So, you guys know we love the show. It's on Netflix. Check it out. Hope y'all send us. Hey, what is our email? Send us some emails and tell us about your Schitt's Creek loves.
Yeah, it's girl@getyourshoetogether.com. We would love to get emails just about anything.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about your bougie things that you.
Yes. What are you outsourcing, or what's the bougiest thing you're doing right now? Share it with us and make us not feel guilty, even though we don't feel guilty, but we do kind of feel guilty.
No, sorry, not sorry for me. This is, totally don't feel guilty. I refuse to feel guilty about that. Anyway, you guys can follow us on social media at Instagram at Get Your Shoot Together. You can also follow us on Facebook at Get Your Shoot Together. You can subscribe to us on Spotify and iTunes. And I think that wraps up today. So we will see you guys next time.
Thanks, y'all.